In the following 24 hours, I'm going to code my own messaging app from scratch in Python. It will let you send texts, send files, and everything will be encrypted. Since many people believe apps like WhatsApp and Discord can't be rivaled due to their size, I will try to prove this wrong by making a better app and forcing my entire family and friends to use it for an entire day. So yeah, I shouldn't fuck this up. The first step is to make a basic messaging system with which multiple computers can talk to each other. For this, we need a server that acts as the middleman, receiving and redirecting all the messages. Furthermore, we need a client, that's you, the user, that can send messages and receive them. Firstly, the user needs to connect to the server and it's working. Then we let the user write a message to the server and the server can read it. We already got the foundation done. With just this, you could communicate with anyone in the world. And see, I want to make an alternative to these big corporations that sell all your data, force you to give them your ID, and they say, okay, what the hell? But right now, everything is public, and everyone connected can see every single message. If I want to make it a real competitor to apps like WhatsApp and Discord, I need to implement private chats between users. My idea was to add the command /message. If you type /message ds hi, you write the private message to the user ds with the content hi. So the server just checks if your message starts with /message, and if that's the case, it sends the specified user your message. However, implementing this was... Okay, let's try this. What the hell just happened? Bro! Why is the client disconnecting when sending a message? Maybe with a simpler message? No. So now it should work. And yes, let's go. Now that we finally have private messaging, we basically have the backend done. But to make it a truly complete app, we need file sending, because every app has it and it's kind of important. However, I have not a single clue how to do this. I read through multiple articles, but literally nobody explains what I actually need. There's very little information out there, and for most of it, I don't understand a word. Ultimately, I had to ask ChatGPT to explain this to me, and it actually is kind of simple. Look, the messages that are actually being sent between the user and the server are just bytes. In our app, we convert text to bytes to send them over, and later convert them back to text. But files are basically only bytes, so it should be technically easier to send files. I implemented this the same way I did text, but changed a few things like checking if the file isn't too big. However, when I tried sending a file, the user disconnected again. Furthermore, when I tried to use the chat, all of a sudden everything was broken. And with everything I tried, I broke my app even more. I was really stressing. 3 hours have already passed, and if I wasn't going to fix this soon, I wouldn't know if I was going to finish this in time. My whole family and friends would use it, so I really don't want to disappoint them. But after some back and forth, I just checked every line of code to see if it was working or it was causing all this mess. And after 30 minutes, I found the flaw in my logic. And now it finally worked. I sent this image from one user to the other and it actually arrived perfectly. Moreover, I tried sending an image from my PC to another device and it also worked. I was so happy about this. The only thing left to do was to also add the option to send files privately. And oh boy, was this going to get hard. I tried to do it similarly to the private message function with the command /file message, but it just wouldn't work. I looked through all the code but couldn't find the reason why this would fail. I really didn't know what was the problem and just tried random stuff for what felt like an eternity to somehow fix it. And somehow I fixed it. And it was working perfectly. I actually have no idea what I did here, but hey, it's working. And now everything was finished and I lived happily ever after. No. The worst part was still remaining: encryption. See, right now our app is not secure at all. And if I want to have a chance to compete with WhatsApp and Discord and not give out all my private data to hackers for free, I need to secure all the messages. With encryption, you don't send messages as plain text, but rather as a long string which doesn't make any sense on its own, except for you when you have the key. With this key, you can decrypt this long string back to its original text, so you can read the message, but if a hacker intercepts the message, he can't figure out what it means. The only problem, this fucks up all of our current system. We basically have to rewrite half our code to get it to work, but we didn't have a choice, so I just had to log in and do it. I installed the cryptography package, generated a key, encrypted the message before it was sent, decrypted it after receiving it, leaving the start unencrypted so the server can actually know what you want to send, decrypt on the server, encrypt on the server, get confused on the way, and somehow it actually is working. Okay, this wasn't too bad, but we only did this for normal messages. And for the rest, it would get a lot worse. Because with encryption, all of our commands are fucked up and are being sent as regular messages. To fix this, we need to handle commands on the client side, not only on the server side. So I did this, but now we need to change it to a new format on the server side, and now private messaging is working, but file sending isn't. See, encrypting files is actually a lot harder than basic text. It's quite complex and confusing, but basically files are often sent in chunks, so not all at once, but rather in multiple pieces. But with encryption now, we basically never know when a file is finished and when a new message starts. So we get a new line character after each message, but now we have to apply this to every possible message in our code. If you forget one, which I of course did, everything breaks down and yeah! You see, this is quite complex and it took way too long for me to figure it out. So now 6 hours have already passed, and due to my bad coding, my messenger is very slow. I tried sending a minute-long video and it took 5 minutes until it arrived. But right now we are finally finished with the messaging system itself. The hardest part is done. However, as you can see, it's not really usable. Like, I'm not going to give a girl this Python script and tell her to message me there. The best option by far seemed to be a website. It could be used on my phone and PC, but also could incorporate my existing system in Python using a package called Flask. So I created a very basic website. It looks kinda ugly, but there's no time. I was already 7 hours in and honestly pretty tired. So I knew I wouldn't be able to do a much better job than this. So I continued by implementing the server, and when I tried logging in, I found out that I didn't correctly link the login function with the website. But I eventually fixed it. It is also probably a good time to mention that this is my first time using Flask, so I don't have much of a clue what I'm doing here. But I stuck to it and implemented the rest. First, I had the public chat, which was working quite well. But again, private messaging was more difficult to implement. However, ultimately, I got it working, as did the file sending. I added some quality of life features, like an indicator if someone was online, if they were typing, and a disconnect button. And this was basically everything finished. Now I only bought a cheap VPS on a Russian site, so I could let the server run 24/7. I logged into the VPS, installed everything I needed, as well as the code itself, set it up to run all the time, make it actually available to the public, and after some back and forth, it actually was somewhat working. But my site was crashing constantly, as was my VPS. I was locked out every few minutes, and it was really making me worried, because if it happened later when all of my family and friends used it, it would be a disaster. Anyways, I decided to go to bed, as there was not much left to do. When I woke up the next day, I had 2 hours remaining and thought I would just test some things and everything would be working. The good news was that the VPS wasn't crashing anymore, but I noticed that currently it is completely unusable. For example, the user wouldn't disconnect anymore. Furthermore, if that was the case, you couldn't sign back in as that user. So basically, you were indefinitely blocked from the messenger. This meant in the last 2 hours, I had to scramble to somehow fix this. With the help of some AI, I was actually able to find the cause of the problem and update the code on my VPS just in time. But the time was up. I wasn't quite sure how the website would work, but I had to just start using it for the next day. With much uncertainty, I entered this last, most important chapter of this experiment to find out if my messenger actually could compete with giants like WhatsApp and Discord. Maybe people were right, these giants can't be touched since they're way too big. I was really unsure how it would turn out, and the first time I opened the messenger on my phone, why the hell is it this small? So yeah, I found out that the website was a pile of hot garbage on phones, but there wasn't any more time to fix it, as people were already joining. And I have to say, I was quite happy with how the rest turned out so far. I sent some welcoming messages and my app was holding up fairly well, but soon enough, problems would reveal themselves. Messages duping, inactive users not disconnecting. A lot was going south, but the core functionality remained. And as the day progressed, it was honestly working quite well. But there was one glaring issue. People were not really using it. Shortly after, they would still message me over WhatsApp, Discord, Instagram, whatever. And exactly this is the problem with most messengers. Even though there are some really good alternatives out there, the biggest problem are the users. If every one of your friends uses WhatsApp, you don't have much of a choice. Regarding my experiment, the rest of the 24 hours weren't so special. In the end, I understood why these big corporations have such a monopoly. But at the same time, We are the ones who can actually change that. So yeah, maybe don't use my messenger, but for example, Signal is a really good alternative that is widely regarded as one of the most secure messengers out there. Still, this project taught me a ton, and if you want to check out the source code, the link is in the description. Furthermore, if you want a sneak peek into my upcoming projects, I made a brand new Discord where you will be able to test my terrible apps before I make a video about it. Like imagine 100 people would simultaneously try to use this messenger. That would be peak, alright? Anyways, have fun guys, until next time, subscribe.